Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unleash Your Leadership. Thank you for joining me today and hope you're doing well. Communication. Let's talk about communication. It's one of the most important but most complex thing as well. It's hard for us to communicate in a manner that the other person gets the message. And that can be due to many, many reasons. In today's fast paced world that's technology driven, effective communication is just more important than ever for the success in both professional and personal life. So much is going on in this world today. There is so much information overload. People don't have enough time. There's multiple devices, multiple sources. How do you make sure that there is effective communication with all of this complexity and the multiple levels of granularity that is present? Communication can really help also improve productivity and collaboration. What can we do? Here's where AI or artificial intelligence comes into play. With the integration of various tools and platforms, communication can really now be taken to another level. It can be easier to communicate in some ways. AI can really help and support the communication strategy that you may have. That will help in enhancing productivity, optimizing the collaboration, and even streamlining various aspects of our life. So, how can AI help with communication? How can we enhance our communication through AI? I wanted to share with you a few things that I thought would be interesting to explore on what AI can do. I want to talk to you about some of the scenarios where we can utilize AI and also share with you some examples or even give you some prompts that you can use, especially when we talk about AI today. We're talking about ChatGPT a lot. These are language models that are able to understand and really understand the context and meaning of what you're trying to ask it to do when you provide certain information. With that in mind, and of course, there are other AI tools that can also support and you can use it in conjunction with ChatGPT. For example, first, let's talk about note taking. This is something that a lot of us have to do, especially, if you know, I come from a background of technical program management, and there are a lot of meetings. A lot of us have to attend a lot of meetings, which is a whole another problem, which I will not get into today. But taking notes during meetings can be tedious. Often, many important details can be lost or even overlooked. Often, certain team members unfairly become default note takers. We don't want that. It is also difficult for any note taker to be able to multitask during such meetings. How do you expect them to take the notes, pay attention to what's being said, and then contribute to the conversation in a meaningful way? If you pull in AI powered note taking tools like Fireflies and Otter, these can become our assistants in the meeting room. Not only can they transcribe these discussions accurately, but they can sometimes also provide some summarization features. For example, if you're in a team meeting and you're discussing some project updates, you can use a transcription tool like Fireflies or Otter to join the meeting and take notes for you. Or it might just record the whole meeting. Now, once this meeting is over, you can ask an AI tool to summarize the key points or action items, assignees. You can extract whatever specific information you need from the transcriptions. Maybe you can use ChatGPT to do that. This will really help you quickly compile everything into a comprehensive list and share it out with your meeting attendees. An example prompt that you can use is, please summarize key points and action items from meeting transcription below. And then you copy paste your transcription in there. You do this in ChatGPT and you can provide it a transcription and then you can ask it to summarize the key points and action items. Or you can say, list out the action items, assignees, and due dates based on the meeting transcription. And you paste that in. Of course, there's assumption being made here that in your meeting, you discuss what is the action item, you talk about who is going to do it and when it is due. That's the way that the transcription can capture it. There can be certain limitations into the word count or character count of what ChatGPT can intake. So make sure you're able to adjust that. If you're having some conversations that are not relevant either before or at the end of the meeting, you can remove that from the transcription so that ChatGPT gets the main portion of the meeting that's important to be able to summarize. Let's move on to another example, status updates. A lot of TPMs and even other leaders have to provide status updates. Providing these regular updates to stakeholders is crucial for keeping them informed of the program's progress, as well as making sure that everybody is aligned on what's going on. However, many of these reports need to cater to different levels of audiences. You might need to send a report to executive leadership. You might need to send a report to partner teams and the leaders over there, or it might be your core team. You also want to make sure that the way you're communicating in your program reports aligns with the company culture. Keeping all of this in mind can be very daunting for somebody who's still trying to understand what's the communication style that they should use. This is AI or ChatGPT can come to the rescue. Let's assume that you are responsible for sending out or preparing a program, a review or status update for a software development program. And you can ask ChatGPT to generate suggestions for writing these reports based on your audience and company culture. Provide some parameters like type of audience, technical or non-technical, the level of detail that you're looking for, maybe a preferred tone, like is it formal or informal? And then ChatGPT can create an initial status update structure for you. You can even take that a step further and ask ChatGPT and provide maybe a basic template. Maybe your company or team has a template and you can put it out there and say, how can I make it better? Ask it to refine your content based on what your goals are for that report. If you want to highlight certain milestones or risks or achievements, then ChatGPT or similar AI tool can help you incorporate that. And maybe once you've added and created a report, maybe you input it again into ChatGPT and ask to see if it and ask it to reframe it and make it more clear or concise, or even tweak and remove any redundancies or optimize the overall flow of the report. Some prompts that you can use: suggest some ways to structure my program status report for a technical audience in a formal tone. Another example can be, how can I refine this program status report to highlight the achievements of the team? Here's one more example. I want to report project risks to management in a non-technical manner. Help me modify the report accordingly. So try some of these prompts out and see what it comes up with. And then again, of course, use your judgment to make tweaks to the suggestions. But what this will do is get you along faster. Now, you can also use AI-powered tools for reminders and collaboration, keeping tracks of action items. So now that you have a bunch of action items from the meetings, you still need to keep track of them. And there's still important deadlines. And to keep on top of all of this can be challenging. Things are buried in email threads, chat messages, meeting notes. Integrating AI-powered reminders into collaboration tools like Slack or Google Calendar can be really helpful. One thing that really works is, imagine you receive an email with specific action items, or you just need to create a task or a reminder for yourself. Of course, sometimes you can ask Google to do it, or you can manually set that reminders. But instead of doing that, you can connect it to a tool, automation tool like Zapier. Now, this is not necessarily fully AI powered, but there's a lot of similar AI tools that can be added as plugins into your email providers, your chat providers, and so on. You can really create automations and, for example, create a Zap to extract the relevant details from the email and create a task with action items with specifics and then a due date, and put it on your calendar so that the next time you hit that, you know that that's on your calendar and you won't be missing a deadline. Now, there's a couple of more things that I'm really excited about. These are just some things to start with. Some things few people have been using more or less. But here's where really AI comes into the play with emotion recognition and sentiment analysis. Many companies process customer feedback. And that can be huge. There's so many social media comments. There can be feedback that you received through your online website. And it's very difficult to go through this large volume of feedback from customers and really understand what's happening across the different channels. Right? That can be social media, email, surveys, and it can be overwhelming for a team who's trying to process all this manually and categorize each feedback. By implementing a AI-powered sentiment analysis, you can automate this process. You can almost ask, okay, you can provide it this all volume of data and you can ask it to analyze the customer feedback and summarize the satisfaction levels and maybe areas of concern that you should work on. Another great thing that AI can do is somewhat help with some emotion recognition during video conferencing in virtual meetings. A lot of times what happens is if you're leading a virtual meeting, you may not be able to see everybody on the screen. You may also not be able to see all of the features or facial expressions of somebody because if you're in a grid, it's going to be small or often you see the speaker view. In this case, AI can really help gauge the participants' emotions and see if they're engaged or disengaged or distracted. I don't know. And of course, that's providing you some valuable feedback on engagement and overall sentiment, which can be important for you to take action items later. How can I make my meetings more engaging? Or what can we do so that people are engaged from the start? And then what you can do is use this information to get more subjective feedback and have conversations with people. This can be really powerful because it will help other people feel more seen as well. Of course, if somebody's camera is off, you can't really do this. And then there's always some things that a human can detect better than AI, which I will always say. But AI can give you a great start. Finally, AI can really help you improve your writing skills. For many people, English may not be their first language. It can also be really hard to just come up with the right way to respond to something. Especially with email communication, for example, if you want to understand the writer's sentiments, I can help suggest an appropriate response. It can also help you refine the language so it's more impactful and effective in getting the message across. It can really help you make sure you're using the appropriate vocabulary and even say, okay, here's a more complex sentence, let's simplify it. For example, if you're trying to compose an important email to pitch a project idea to somebody senior, and you want to ensure that the tone conveys enthusiasm and confidence and has all the information to support the data without being overly assertive. A prompt can look like this. Reframe this email and suggest appropriate adjustments to ensure the tone projects enthusiasm and confidence and still professional. And see what comes across. Does it feel like that's you? One of the things with using AI for writing is that the more you train it to sound like you, it's going to start doing that slowly. Or if you know what you want to come across as, if you want to come across as warm and personable or professional versus informal or casual, you can provide that data in the prompt and then help reframe your responses. And as always, I would still recommend you need to make sure you're reading through and making sure that is still something you would say. And now you're just saying it better, but it is still something you would say. This can also go beyond the overall just corporate or work life. See, you're a college student, you're working on a research paper, and you just want to ensure that research is clear and concise. You want to make sure that the overly complex sentences can be simplified so that your readers can really understand it. So maybe you can ask it to say, okay, identify and simplify the complex sentences in my research paper to enhance clarity and improve reader comprehension. So then what you can do is provide it a script of your research and then ask it to it. If you don't want it to change the whole thing, you can say, okay, identify the sentences and just give them to me and give me alternate suggestions. So then you can pick the suggestions you like or don't like or that still align with what you wanted to say in your research paper. And if somebody is in marketing, this is another example, and you want to craft an email campaign that's persuasive for a product launch, you can create an email on what you would want to say, and then get a second recommendation from ChatGPT to suggest and see if the language is persuasive enough and is it impactful and effective. Sometimes it can help you give some parameters, like what makes a good persuasive email campaign. That's a good prompt as well, because then it will give you that and you can start putting that together. It can help you jumpstart some of the work you're doing. This does not mean that you blindly copy everything that ChatGPT says, because that is really important. Again, all of these tools are meant to support you. They're meant to make your work faster, and they're meant to give you a jumpstart. But there is still a layer of your own personality and your own effort that needs to go in. I hope you found this helpful. As we know, there's so much that can be done with AI and ChatGPT. It has, of course, revolutionized how we communicate, how we collaborate. Really embracing these tools will empower us to focus on interactions that are more meaningful, innovation, and strategic thinking. And all these repetitive things can go to AI. Who wants to do the same thing over and over again? So, as we continue to explore and integrate AI into our communication workflows, it's really essential to strike that balance, like I was saying, between the human touch and the efficiency of AI. After all, effective communication is not just about conveying the information, but also about understanding, empathy, and building strong relationships. AI can undoubtedly help us in this journey, but it is ultimately for us to utilize it responsibly and ethically for the betterment of our professional lives. Okay, I hope that you are excited about what AI can do and try it out. Let me know how it's going. And if you have other ideas, share that with me. And I'll look into some more things around AI as well. And really, if you're a leader and your teams are not using AI, you need to think about how can you move your teams forward faster with AI with various ways. So keep tuning in. Thank you for your time today, and I will see you in another episode of Unleash Your Leadership. Bye and take care.